With good news for today from Baptist Press, I'm Brandon Porter. The Biden administration has received another setback from a federal court, this time at the appellate level, in its effort to institute transgender rights even at the expense of freedom of conscience. The U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans blocked the Department of Health and Human Services rule that required doctors and hospitals to perform gender transition procedures as well as abortions. The unanimous opinion by a three-judge panel upheld a 2021 permanent injunction by a federal court in Texas that barred enforcement of the regulation, an action also taken by a federal judge in North Dakota. The Biden administration's support for transgender rights experienced another court defeat in July when a federal judge in Tennessee blocked enforcement of guidelines from the Department of Education and Equal Employment Opportunity Commission while they're being challenged by 20 other states. More than 50 children of missionaries preparing to enter college in the U.S. this fall gained insights and encouragement for reentering well during the annual Missionary Kid Reentry Retreat. It was held at Alabama's WMU's WorldSong Missions Place. Each year, Women's Missionary Union partners with the International Mission Board to host the retreat, providing a setting where MKs can process the transition to college, envision what life in the U.S. will look like, learn skills to help them adjust to living in the U.S. and navigating university life. State WMUs take turns hosting the retreat. Missionary kids from around the world participated in the event and were prepared for the transition to U.S. life and college.
Good News for Today is made possible through our friends at the Voice of the Martyrs, a nonprofit organization that serves persecuted Christians around the world. Founded in 1967 by Richard and Sabina Wurmbrand, VOM is dedicated to inspiring believers to deepen their commitment to Christ and to fulfill His Great Commission, no matter the cost. Find out more and sign up for their free monthly magazine at vom.org/good news.
Recovery teams were busy reclaiming the foundations of homes that were burned to the ground during the tunnel fire in Flagstaff, Arizona. They hauled away twisted metal, rebar, and melted box springs, as well as appliances, transforming them into massive heaps inside industrial-sized walk-in dumpsters. Members of the team had the opportunity to get to know a lady named Sandy, and they shared their hope in Christ with her. Before leaving the area, they were able to help Sandy make that hope her own as she decided to follow Jesus. Some members of the team have stayed in touch with her and report that since their last meeting, God has blessed her with a new job, an apartment, and a church family. You can read the full story at baptistpress.com.